Hi, Susan Finley at Train Smarter. We've been talking about the truth about stretching. And one truth about stretching is that there are situations in which stretching is altogether contraindicated. One of them is before exercise. Before exercise, move yourself into that activity by doing gradual versions of what that activity is going to be. So if you're doing strength training, start out with a few sets that are lower level, or if you're going out to run, start out with a slower pace and work your way up. But stretching before exercise interferes with the cross-bridging of the muscle fibers, and studies have shown that stretching pre-exercise interferes with the exercise performance itself. Another situation in which you should avoid stretching is post-injury. When you have injured your body, say in your back is a great example, the muscles tighten up as a protective mechanism. It might not be comfortable, but stretching those muscles is really a bad idea. That same protective mechanism is at work in hypermobile individuals, which is a second situation in which people should not stretch. Hypermobile individuals may tend to feel tight, and very often it's the most hypermobile people who do the most stretching because of the message that their muscle sends to the brain that says the muscle is tense, but don't mistake tense for tight. That protective tension keeps somebody who's hypermobile from being able to move into extreme ranges of motion. And if you must stretch, make sure you know what normal range of motion is, because very often when I'm assessing someone, I have them lie back on the table and I take a look at what kind of range of motion we've got in their hips. And if I bring the legs straight up like this, sometimes somebody will say, oh, you don't have to stop there, you can take that all the way up. Well, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Know that range of motion, respect the normal range of motion, because going into extreme ranges of motion will not just stretch the muscle, but it can compress. It can lengthen the ligaments, it can compress bursa, it can cause all kinds of other joint issues, mess with the labrum in both the hip and the shoulder. And speaking of the shoulder, a lot of people doing a chest press, say with a pec deck or with a dumbbell, go way back here, feeling the stretch in the chest and thinking that that's something that's desirable. But when you get back here, you are putting anterior compression on this shoulder capsule and scrunching that rotator cuff. And finally, when a muscle is in spasm, say you get up in the morning and you slept funny on your shoulder and you get that pain that's right there behind the shoulder blade. People walk around and they're stretching and they say, rub on this muscle. The muscle is doing its protective job. That spasm says the muscle interpreted that being stretched out for an extended period of time is being injurious to the muscle, so it spasms to keep it from being pulled any further. So the fix for that is to move the muscle through normal ranges of motion to reset that firing pattern, and say if your neck is tight, don't keep trying to stretch the tight part, but fire some of those opposing muscles and take advantage of your body's built-in reciprocal inhibition that will turn that tightness off. You'll find that's so much more effective than stretching. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and we'll teach you how to train smarter.